So today is also the appearance day of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. So we have less time, but let's see.
Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati appearance.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to find. Okay, today is the most auspicious day of the appearance of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati iti namine Shri Vrishabhanavi Devi Daitaye Krupabdaye Krishna Shabhanda Vigyana Daine Prabhave Namaha Madhurya Ujjwala Premadya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Sakti Vigrahaya Namastute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Viruddhapa Siddhanta Dvanta Harine. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, who is very dear to Lord Krishna. Having taken shelter at His lotus feet, I offer my respectful obeisances to Sri Vrishabhanavi Devi Daita Das, another name of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, who is favored by the Srimati Radharani and who is the favored ocean of transcendental mercy and deliverer of the sons of Krishna. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, the personified energy of Sri Chaitanya's mercy, who delivered devotional service which is enriched with conjugal love of Radha and Krishna, coming exactly in the line of revelation of Srila Rupa Goswami. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, who are the personified teaching of Lord Chaitanya. You are the deliverer of the fallen souls. You do not tolerate any statement which is against the teaching of devotional service enunciated by Srila Rupa Goswami. Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada was born in 1873 at Jagannath Puri, and his father, Kedarnath Dutt Bhakti Vinod Thakur, was a magistrate of the city and superintendent of Jagannath Temple. In his later years, Bhakti Vinod founded and conducted Namahata, a traveling preaching program that spread theology and practice of Chaitanya throughout rural and urban Bengal by means of discourses, printed material, and Bengali songs of his own composition. He also opposed what he saw as apasampradayas, or numerous distortions of the original Chaitanya teachings, and he is credited with the rediscovery of the lost site of Chaitanya's birth in Mayapur near Navadvip, which he commemorated with a prominent temple. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was educated in Calcutta and became learning in mathematics and astronomy. In his childhood, he once took a mango, which was meant as an offering for the deity, And when his father rebuked him, saying that he should not have taken the fruit which was meant for the Lord, the child took it very seriously and thought himself a great offender, promising not to take the mango again throughout his whole life. And he was known as Bimal Prasad Dutt before his renunciation. On account of his writing a book on astronomy known as Surya Siddhanta, he received the title Siddhanta Saraswati. And when he took sannyas, preaching the gospel of Lord Chaitanya, he was known as Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He was acclaimed a great scholar in Calcutta, and a celebrated Dr. Kalidas Nag used to call him a living encyclopedia. So we are put to test and trial in this world. Only those who attend the kirtan of the devotees can succeed. Every spot on earth where discourses on God or hell is a place of pilgrimage. Possession of object not related to Krishna is our main malady. Let me not desire anything but the highest good for my worst enemies. As dalliance with the body in luxury increases, so when inertia, worldly evils, and pests. Be indifferent to bazaar gossip. Stick firmly to your cherished goals. No lack or impediment of the world will ever stand in your way. Pay due respect to the extroverts of the world, but do not be appreciative of their manners and conduct. They are to be shaken off from your mind. A devotee feels the presence of God everywhere, but one averse to the Lord denies his existence anywhere. You cannot appreciate transcendental matters with the reasoning of the world. It is sheer nonsense to decry them with the measuring stick of your intellect. To recite the name of Sri Krishna is bhakti. Life is for glorification of topics on Hari. If that is stopped, then what need is there to carry on life? Physical illness with Hari Bhajan is preferred to physical fitness without Hari Bhajan. Our span of life on earth is short. Our life will be crowned with success if the body wears out with constant discourses on Lord Hari. We are here on earth not to work as artisans or making big buildings with the wood and stone, but to work only as messenger for the teaching of Sri Chaitanya Deva. A cyclophant is neither a guru or a preacher. To transform the adverse desire of the jivas is the supreme duty of the most merciful. To rescue one person from the stronghold of Mahamaya is an act of super benevolence, for superior to opening innumerable hospitals. Unless we are devoted to God, secularism shall not leave us. Look within, amend yourself rather than pry into the frailties of others. In this world of Maya, averse to the Lord, full of trials and tribulations, only patience, humility, and respect for others are our friends for Hari Bhajan. The Lord Gaura Sundar put his devotees in various difficulties and association to test their patience and strength of mind. Success depends on their good fortune. When faults in others misguide and delude you, have patience, introspect, find faults in yourself. Know that others cannot harm you unless you harm yourself. I wish that every selfless, tender-hearted person of Gaudiya Math will be prepared to shed 200 gallons of blood for the nourishment of the spiritual corpse of every individual of this world. What a wonderful, nice narration has been given by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. There is also very nice descendant that he appeared in this world. Uh, about the education, he was 7 years old, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was constructing the Bhakti Bhavan in Calcutta at the Rambagan. During that construction, a deity of Lord Kurma was unearthed, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ordered his son to become a regulated worship of that deity. So from the very beginning, the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj used to hear the preaching of his father with rapt attention. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, as well as his audience, were amazed to see how a small boy could hear the topics of Krishna consciousness with such total absorptions. By the age of 7, he had committed the entire Bhagavad Gita to memory and could wonderfully explain the verses as well. Later on, he was trained in publishing and proofreading at Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur Printing Press in connection with the Thakur's well-known spiritual journal, the Sajjana Tosani. At the age of 11, Bimala Prasad toured the various places of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leelas with his father, and Bimala Prasad had an eidetic memory. Whatever he would read once, he could later recall with perfect clarity. He was trained in mathematics and astrology, as we read before, at the Rampur school, and he achieved such astounding scholarship that he was eventually awarded the title Siddhanta Saraswati by his tutors, Pandit Mahesh Chandra Chauramani and Pandit Sundarlal. During this period, he used to attend the Sunday weekly meeting of Thakur Bhaktivinoda Vishwa Vaishnava Raj Sabha and hear the Thakur lecture on the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Srila Rupa Goswami. He was never known to study his school assignment, and while sitting at home, would replace those assignments with studies of Srila Narottam Das Thakur's Pratana, Prema Bhakti Chandrika, and other devotional literatures. However, whatever question he was asked by his teacher, he would immediately answer, and he got excellent result on all his examination. He used to debate everyone. He met on all sorts of subjects. No one who argued with him was ever able to defeat him. Just as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has defeated a great scholar, Keshava Kashmiri, at a young age. So similarly, Bimala Prasad once during his later college days debated a scholar named Panchananna Sahityacharya, and disciple of Vasudev Sastri, a very famous professor of that time, on topic of astrological calculation. The debate was held in the home of Sri Rajendra Chandra Sastri and judged by him as well. After some discussion, that scholar had to accept defeat. In fact, the scholar became so mortified that he could not check the calls of nature. After that, everyone was reluctant to debate him for fear of being defeated. Age of 11, while he is in the 5th class, Bimala Prasad invented a type of shorthand writing called Bikanto, and it was during this period that he took a tour of the holy places with his father. And when boy was in the 7th class, equivalent to today's 8th class, and about 13 years old, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur brought Tulsi bit for his son from Jagannath Puri and gave him the name of Hari and a Narasimha mantra to chant, which he executed very faithfully, along with the worship of his Kurma deity, according to the instruction of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Age 16, while his schooling continued, books of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur from the serious content of his studies. He also began writing books on astrology, and during this time, he formed the Chir Kumar Sabha, or the August Assembly amongst his friends, with whom he met regularly at Calcutta's Bidon Square. There they used to discuss topics related to religion, and the members were required to take a vow of celibacy. The society was formed with the purpose of giving people a chance to remain seriously engaged in worship of the Lord and detached from family life. But Bimla Prasad was the only one who observed his vow immaculately. In 1892, at the age of 18, he took an entrance examination and entered Kolkata's Sanskrit College. As before, he paid scant attention to the prescribed books, but he found the time to read all of the philosophical books contained in the library. During his college holidays, he would discuss the Vedas with the scholar Sri Yukta Prithvidhara Sharma. Although Siddhanta Saraswati had become learned in all six branches of Vedic knowledge, Siksha, pronunciation, Kalpa, sequence of Vedic sacrifice, Vyakran, grammar, especially the use of word roots, inflected words and sentences, Nirukta, meaning of inflected words and word roots, Chandaha, recitation of Vedic mantras, and Jyotish, astrological and astronomical calculation. Still to study the Vyakran, the grammatical branch of the Vedas, he approached the Pandit Prithvidhara Sharma. The Pandit praised him for his achievement and encouraged him to study the Siddhant Kaumudi throughout his life. Siddhant Saraswati replied, "My life is for the single-minded cultivation of the teaching of Sri Chaitanya, not for cultivation of a grammar. I have only studied the Vedas, the branches of the Vedas, and the related parts in a secondary manner." 1895, he left the college, and as he was very eager to execute his worship of the Lord and to remain free from the pressure to enter family life, he stated in his autobiography as follows: "If I remain studying with careful attention at the college, then extreme pressure will be brought upon me to enter family life. But if I can consider to be foolish and inefficient, then no one will put such an inducement upon me for becoming so engaged. By this consideration, I left the Sanskrit college, and in order to maintain my life for the service of Lord Sri Hari, I was desirous of getting an honest occupation which I could perform with the intention of earning a humble income." And during his student days, he also wrote essays on spiritual topics for various magazines and strongly condemned various religious malpractices which had become prominent in the society. At the Bhakti Bhavan in 1897, he established a Chatuspati, a small academy called Saraswati Chatuspati, where many learned persons from Calcutta attended his lectures and discourse on astronomy. He also published the magazine Jyotirvid and Brihaspati and other old astrological texts like the Surya Siddhanta, a famous and highly regarded Sanskrit astronomical treatise. Here he also established and edited the Bhakti Panjika and Almanac. He was well acquainted with both the eastern and western branches of astrology, but naturally favored the Vedic one. He was offered a chair in astronomy at the University of Calcutta by Asutosh Mukherjee. Saraswati Maharaj declined it, thinking it an impediment to his spiritual life. And at the request of Srila Jagannath Das Babaji, he composed Sri Navadip Panjika, a Krishna's almanac, in which the months, lunar fortnights, days, lunar days, star, etc., were all given names of Vishnu. He did not spend very long in his astronomical pursuit, however, and soon dedicated himself fully to the worship and distribution of the teaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was also employed by the royal king of Tripura from 1895 to 1905 in various services. Initially, he accepted the post of editor under Panch, Panchasrika Maharaj, Virachandra Manikanya Bahadur, and he edited a history of the family entitled Rajaratnakar. During this time, he studied all the principal books on the royal library. A year later, however, the Maharaj departed from this world. The succeeding king, Maharaj Radhakishore Manikya Bahadur, entrusted Siddhanta Saraswati with the instructions of the sons of the king in Bengali and Sanskrit. The king also requested him to put an end to various cheating activity of the person who were misappropriating royal wealth. Siddhanta Saraswati quickly stopped this nonsense, much to the delight of the king, and he assisted the royal family in different ways until 1905. And at that time, it was granted along with the full pension, which he accepted for some time and then later discarded. So during this 10-year period, many other significant events took place as well. In 1897, he began to strictly observe the vow of Chaturmas, including the practice of cooking for himself one preparation daily, taking the food from the ground and lying on the earth without any bedding or pillow. In 1898, he toured Banaras, Prayag, and Gaya with Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and discussed philosophy with persons in the line of Ramanujacharya. In 1899, Siddhanta Saraswati published a number of articles on spiritual topic in the magazine called Nivedan, a Kolkata weekly. Siddhanta Saraswati had been engaged in regularly chanting the Mahamantra and a Narsimha mantra given to him by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur when he was in the 7th class, and he had been worshipping the Kurma deity discovered in laying the foundation of the Bhakti Bhavan in Calcutta. Since the age of 7, without fail, he had been executing that worship and chanting since his boyhood, and from 1885 onward, he had received the special training in printing, editing, etc. at the press of the Bhakti Bhavan. Thus, the young man was a very qualified candidate for becoming the disciple of a guru. Many pseudo-gurus, mantra peddlers of the Sahaja category wanted to have him as the disciple to increase their false prestige. After all, Siddhanta Saraswati was a magistrate's son. He was a strict renunciate from birth, and he was learned and deeply attached to the scripture. But Siddhanta Saraswati was not interested in such pretenders. In 1898, after Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had constructed his residence in Navadvip Dham at Gudrum Dvip and called it Swananda Sukhada Kunj, and sometime after the discovery of Lord Chaitanya's birthsite by the Thakur and Srila Jagannath Das Babaji, Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj arrived in Navadvip Dham to the site of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birth and to hear the discourse of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And when he arrived, he was singing in ecstasy. His only possession were the Tulsi Mala, which he wore around his neck, and another set he kept in his hand for counting. He kept a few books, such as Narottam Das Thakur works, Pratana and Prem Bhakti Chandrika. Gaurkishore Babji had been performing bhajan for many years in Vrindavan. He was extremely renounced and was the disciple of Bhagavad Das Babaji, the disciple of Jagannath Das Babaji. He was not well educated and had been a grain merchant in his previous existence, but it was widely known that he was all liberated Paramhamsa of the highest caliber in the area of Brajmandala. At the time of his arrival, he was wearing a cap made of tiger skin and was carrying a basket of various items and material for his service. He spotted Siddhanta Saraswati and offered him 4 or 5 pieces of knotted rope for chanting rounds. A tilaka stamp with the initial for Hare Krishna, the tiger skin cap and paraphernalia for worship. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj had received the basket and cap from his spiritual master, Bhagavad Das Babaji. Siddhanta Saraswati was very attracted to Gaur Kishore Das Babaji's lotus feet at first sight, and he was later to comment with great humility as follows. I have been busy with this material world, trying to bring sense gratification within the grasp of my hand. I have often thought that by obtaining the object of sense gratification, all my shortcomings will be fulfilled. I often attain different facets that were indeed very rare, but my own personal shortcomings were never mitigated. In this material world, I have had the association of very high class, aristocratic persons. However, seeing their various deficiencies, I could not offer them praise. The most merciful Supreme Lord Sri Gaur Sundar, seeing me in such a lamentable condition at such a time of adversity, gave permission to his two dearmost devotee, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, to grant their blessings to me, because I was always intoxicated with a worldly false ego, wanting again and again self-appraisal. I deprived myself my own real benefit, but because of the influence of my previous birth's activity in devotional service, I came into the association of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and who was the form of my spiritual well-wisher. My spiritual master, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, would go and visit Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and many times would reside with him. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, out of his compassion for other living entities, point out my spiritual master, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. Upon seeing my spiritual master, the extent of my worldly false ego diminished. I knew that all other living entities who have taken the human form of life were also fallen and low like myself. But by gradually observing the spiritual character of my master, I realized that only a Vaishnava could reside in this material world and be of exemplary character. At Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's urging, the young man approached Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji for initiation in the month of Magh of year 1900, and Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji expressed reluctance to accept him, knowing Siddhanta Saraswati to be a great scholar. Finally, when Siddhanta Saraswati pleaded with him for initiation, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji replied, quote, Mahaprabhu will be asked, if he gives permission, your desire will be fulfilled. So on another day, Siddhanta Saraswati approached him again and asked, what was Mahaprabhu's order? And Gaur Kishore Das Babaji replied, I forgot to ask. And the third time Babaji Maharaj was requested, he replied, I asked. I did not receive the command of Mahaprabhu. Unquote. Siddhanta Saraswati then stood up, his heart breaking, and said, you, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Gaur Kishore Das, are both worshippers of Krishna, the crest jewel of devotees. Therefore, why will you take mercy on someone dedicated to ordinary morality like me? In his pastime as an exemplary teacher, Mahaprabhu has given instructions on the worship of Krishna, the crest jewel of devotees. Therefore, why will he give the command to take mercy on me? But karuna na haile kandiya pranana rakhibe ar. If there is no mercy, weeping and weeping, I can sustain my life with no more. If I do not receive your mercy, I do not see any need in holding on to my life. So after thus indicating his readiness to take his life, Siddhanta Saraswati began to cry, and Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji's heart was melted to see this. So he told him to take bath in the Saraswati and then come back to him. And at the time of initiation, he gave Siddhanta Saraswati the name Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daita Das. This pastime bears a striking remembrance to the relationship between Narottam Das Thakur and Loknath Goswami. Loknath Goswami was also an extremely humble and renounced Paramhansa, who was reluctant to take any disciple, considering himself unqualified, but finally accepted Narottam Das Thakur as his only disciple. It shows how eager and determined one must be for the mercy of a pure devotee of Krishna. So then the years Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj spent in Puri, I think that the devotees who has to live for the work, they are most welcome to live. We wish you the very blessed day. Always repent, happy, jubilant, and totally fearless. And whoever you come across, give them a kind word that their life can also become successful. But for those others, we will continue reading the life of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. It's nice to know the life of those great personalities. So now the times in Jagannath Puri, 1898, Siddhanta Saraswati had accompanied his father to Kasi, Prayag, and Gaya, and had gathered many facts about all these holy places, which were later incorporated into his commentary on the Chaitanya Charitamrita called Anubhasya. In 1900, he published a book called Bange Samjikata, which described the origin, location, and philosophy of various societies, castes, and religions, and he expounded the clear superiority of Lord Chaitanya's doctrines of inconceivable simultaneous oneness and difference. In March, he accompanied Bhaktivinoda Thakur to Orissa, where they visited the temple of Sirchur Gopinath at Remuna, and also saw Bhubaneswar and Puri. And while in Puri, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur decided to build a place for bhajan just near the Samadhi of Srila Haridas Thakur. And so Siddhanta Saraswati stayed, and so his father in various ways, assisting him in establishing his Bhakti Kutir by the sea. At that time, the Maharaj of Kasim Bazar was camped nearby, and he came regularly to hear from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Siddhanta Saraswati. Siddhanta Saraswati was giving regular classes from the Chaitanya Charitamrita in the presence of his father, and many listeners were assembling just to hear it. The famous Radha Raman Charan Das Babaji used to come at that time to hear the discourses. But later on, this relation was broken because of the two deviations by this Maharaj. These deviations as are follow. He introduced the chanting of Bhajanitai Gaura, Radhe Shyam Japa, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. This was introduced with the idea of stopping the audible chanting of the Mahamantra. The first problem with this was that the concocted mantra had the faults of Siddhanta Virodha, an opposing conclusion, and Rasabhas, conflict in rasas. The second problem was that trying to surpass the audible vibration of the Mahamantra was against the desire of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as established by his activities and teaching, as well as by the teaching of the Goswamis. Rupa Goswami has written in the Prarthana Chaitanya Staka, text 5, Hare Krishnati Uchai. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in a loud voice. Therefore, Rupa Goswami, an eyewitness to the activity of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and recipient of his full blessings and empowerment for establishing his mission, personally testifies here that Lord Chaitanya did not confine the Mahamantra to inaudible muttering, but loudly proclaim it at all. Second thing was Radha Raman Charan Das Babaji also introduced the Shakhi Bheki doctrine by dressing his follower Sri Jai Gopal Bhattacharya as Lalita Sakhi. This was against Mahaprabhu's teaching as well, as an ordinary jiva who was being worshipped as though he were on the expansion of Srimati Radharani. Both Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Siddhanta Saraswati instructed the Babaji to give up these fallacious practices, but he refused. Siddhanta Saraswati began to preach publicly and strongly against these misconceived teachings, proclaiming that the Mahamantra is for both Japa and Kirtan, and that Kirtan is ultimately superior to Japa. This created quite a controversy in Puri, with many taking the side of the Babaji out of misplaced sentiment and others siding with Siddhanta Saraswati. So during this period, Siddhanta Saraswati was engaged in the compilation of the Vaishnava Cyclopedia, which contained an explanation of Vaishnava terminology, brief biographies of the great Vaishnavas, an introduction to the books of the Vaishnava Acharyas, a description of the Vaishnava Tirthas, the various conclusions of Vaishnava sects, etc. He called it Vaishnava Manjusa Samhriti, and it was later published in 4 volumes as Vaishnava scholar commented on it by saying, this work is only possible for a supramortal or a great personality like Prabhupada Srila Saraswati Thakur. Even if 25 to 30 scholars and 10 to 15 men taking the treasury of a king began the work, they would be unable to edit it. The work of compilation was begun in Puri and continued as Siddhanta Saraswati made his preaching round of Sri Mayapur Dham, Sri Jagannath Puri Dham, and Sri Braj Dham. He also studied the book of Srila Madhavacharya and Srila Ramanujacharya and published some of them in Bengali. He also published biographies of these and other Vaishnava saints in the Sajjana Tosani magazine of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He toured South India in 1904 and again in 1905, places like Tirupati, Srirangam, Singachal, Rajamahendri, Madras, Perambadur, Conjeevaram, Kumbla, Kumbhakonam, and Madurai. While on the tour, he collected all the information about the rites and rules of Vedic Tridanda Vaishnava Sannyas from a Ramanuja Tridandi Swami at Perambadur. Wherever he would go in his travels, he would lecture, write, and debate the learned Pandits of the day. He soon acquired such a reputation that his name would strike fear in the heart of his philosophical adversaries. All bogus cults and sects were doomed in his presence. However, in Puri, Siddhanta Saraswati experienced a severe oppression and censure due to his preaching against the Riming Kirtan and Sakibeki doctrine of the popular Radharaman Charanadas Babaji, that finally Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur instructed him to go and perform bhajan near the Yogpit, the birthplace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In 1905, at age of 31, he began his great vow, following the example of Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur of chanting 3 lakhs of name, 192 rounds per day. He determined that at the rate of 300,000 names daily, it would take about 9 years to complete 1 billion names. So he resided in a grass hut at the Yogpit for 4 years. And in February of 1909, he built a cottage near the Yogpit at Vrajpatana, town of Vraj, on the side of the house of Sri Chandrasekhar Acharya, the uncle of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this place is considered to be non-different from the bank of Radhakund. There he remained uninterruptedly executing his chanting. He strictly followed his vow and observed Chaturmas, cooking rice which had been dried in the sun in ghee and eating it from the floor in the manner of a cow. He would take a rest lying on the ground, never using any pillows, and constantly chant and study the scripture. Seeing his renunciation, his Gurudev, Srila Guru Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj said, I observe that the renunciation of Sri Rupa Raghunath is manifest in my Prabhu. He used to address his disciple as my Prabhu, Haribol. In commenting on this period, Srila Prabhupada stated, from childhood he was a strict brahmachari, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, and he underwent very severe penances for starting this movement, worldwide movement. That was his mission. And when the roof of his kutir became broken, rather than take time away from his chanting, he would simply use an umbrella when it rained and go on chanting. Sometimes he had to go to different places, but he continued very strictly and completed his vows always. 1906, Rohini Kumar Ghosh, the nephew of Chandra Madhava Ghosh Mahasaya, a former justice of the Calcutta High Court, had a wonderful dream and as a result approached Siddhanta Saraswati for initiation. The boy had gone to stay with some Babas, Bauls, a so-called guru, and his consort, who he was instructed to address as mother and father. These persons were actually sinful rascals in the guise of devotees. But while he was in Mayapur, he had the good fortune to hear from Siddhanta Saraswati for a long time. And he returned to the place of the bowl, and feeling ill, he lay down to rest in a dream. The ball took the form of a tiger, and the consort the form of a tigress. They were about to devour the unfortunate lad who was trying his best to take shelter of Lord Gaurasundar. And at that moment, Siddhanta Saraswati arrived on the scene, chased the tiger away, and began to lead him to Mayapur. The boy awoke at daybreak and proceeded to Mayapur, where he heard discourses from Siddhanta Saraswati for several days. Finally, he begged for initiation from his savior so feelingly that Siddhanta Saraswati took mercy on him. Prior to this, Siddhanta Saraswati had never given initiation to anyone. His character was such that he never regarded his disciple as his disciple, but he used to see them as being that which was received from the lotus feet of his Guru. He used to address them as Prabhu. In his address to the Gaudiya Math's first Vyas Puja, he has addressed his disciple as my friend, rescuer from danger. He also wrote, if a Vaishnava does not do the work of a Guru, then the spiritual Vaishnava lineage will stop. Again, if he does not does the work of a Guru, then he becomes a non-Vaishnava. For if a Guru thinks I am a Guru, then the first U letter in the word Guru, DC appears, and the word becomes Garu or cow. A real Guru does not make disciple and thus remains a Guru. Here we see Siddhanta Saraswati giving very strong warning about entertaining the conceptions of overlordship or being the master of anyone. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada observed that when he offered obeisances to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he used to return, Thou sost me, I am your servant. And in a lecture in 1973, on the occasion of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Disappearance Day observance, Srila Prabhupada, in same aesthetic mood, spoke, quote, anyway, it is by his grace I was forced to give up my family life. And he brought me some way or other in preaching his gospel. So this is a memorable day, what he desired. I'm trying a little bit and you are all helping me. So I have to thank you more. You are actually representative of my Guru Maharaj because you are helping me and executing the order of my Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much. So in the course of Siddhanta Saraswati travels throughout India, he became much pained at the innocuous teaching of many pseudo-ascetics and Sahajas groups. These arose in his heart a burning desire to widely preach the true Siddhanta according to the desire of the six Goswamis and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Although Sri Gaur Kishore Das Babaji ordinarily never allowed anyone to touch his feet, he had voluntarily placed his feet on the head of Siddhanta Saraswati and ordered him to preach extensively and advised him to preach the absolute truth and keep aside all other works. Siddhanta Saraswati said of this occasion. On receiving just a touch of the lotus feet of my Sri Gurudev, I lost all sense of this external world. I do not know whether any transcendentalist agent equal to him in greatness has ever appeared in this world. How many of those who are busy with the lust, anger, etc. of the world even know him? Later in 1911, a controversy surfaced, surfaced, challenging that the name Gaura in the Gayatri Mantra chanted by Gaudiya Vaishnava was not an eternal name of Godhead, was not found in the original Vedas, and that Lord Chaitanya was not an incarnation of Godhead, but rather by his own admission, a devotee of God. Although it is clearly established in the pages of Chaitanya Bhagavat and Chaitanya Charitamrita that Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself, there were some persons who did not believe that his position as an avatar was revealed in the original Vedas. Of course, one actual proof of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's divinity was the darshans he provided to the number of exalted devotees during the Mahaprakash manifestation in the home of Srivas Thakur, and to Lord Nityananda as a six-armed Vishnu form, as Sadbhuja to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, as Radha Krishna to Srila Ramanand Roy, and so on. These proofs, along with many convincing verses supplied by Krishna Das Kaviraj and Vrindavan Das Thakur in their Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavat, respectively, were sufficient for the reasonable man. But the more stubborn worldly scholars and critics wanted proof from the original Vedas. The Smartas objected to the worship of the deity form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and claimed that the Gaura mantra was not an eternal Vedic mantra. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati cited proof from the Shruti, particularly from the Chaitanya Upanishad, from the Atharva Veda. It says like this: Brahma said, I shall tell there is a secret on the bank of the Jhanvi at Navdip, which is called Goloka Dham. Shall Govinda in a two-arm form as Gaura, the great one, the great mystic, who is transcendental to the three modes of material nature and whose form is eternal, who reveal bhakti to the world. There are a number of verses in this regard. So other evidence was cited from the Svatara Upanishad as well as the Smriti, Tantras, Puranas, and especially Srimad Bhagavatam. Siddhanta Saraswati addressed to a large assembly at Navdip's Bad Akhada Hall, where many erudite scholars has gathered, headed by Sri Madhusudan Goswami Sarvabhauma. He forcefully and brilliantly proved the eternity and glory of the name, form, attribute, etc. of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Although Siddhanta Saraswati was unaware of it, Sri Gaur Kishore Das Babaji was there in one corner of the meeting, and when he heard Siddhanta Saraswati lecture, he was extremely pleased with him. All the Gaudiya Vaishnavas who heard the discourse were filled with bliss and began to chant Siddhanta Saraswati glories again and again, due in large measure to Siddhanta Saraswati's strong preaching on this point throughout his life. The deity form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is now worshipped and accepted all over the India as the eternal form of the Lord. And many thousands have received the Guru Mantra with great faith and for eternal benefit. Prabhupada is mentioning about Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati strong preaching against the caste
Oh,
question.
ivala the Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Parents Day.
Hare Krishna.
Mm.
Somebody has unmuted the phone. Please mute your phone, please. Hare Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada is speaking about his Guru Maharaj, about the preaching against the caste Goswamis and Smarta Brahmanas. My Guru Maharaj's contribution is that he defeated the caste Goswamis. He defeated this Brahmanism. He did it in the same way as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Kiba Vipra Kiba Rasi Sudra Kene Nai Ye Krishna Tattva Veta Sai Guru Hai. There is no consideration whether one is a sannyasi, Brahmana, Sudra, or a Grihastha. No. Anyone who knows the science of Krishna, he is all right. He is Goswami and he is Brahmana. So this was my Guru Maharaj contribution, and for this reason, he had to face so many vehement protests from these Brahmanas or the caste Goswamis. Once they conspired to kill him, my Guru Maharaj told me personally, by his grace, when we used to meet alone, he used to talk about so many things. He was so kind that he used to talk with me. And he personally told me that these people, they wanted to kill me. So they collected 25,000 rupees and went to bribe the police officer in charge of the area, saying, you can take these 25,000 rupees. We shall do something against Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and you don't take any steps. He could understand that they wanted to kill him. So the police officer frankly came to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Of course, we accept bribes and we indulge in such things, but not for a sadhu, not for a saintly person. I cannot dare. So the police officer refused and said to my Guru Maharaj, you take care. This is the position. This was because he so vehemently protested. So when my Guru Maharaj was present, even big scholars were afraid to talk with even his beginning student. My Guru Maharaj was called living encyclopedia. He could talk with anyone on any subject, and he was so learned and no compromise. So-called saints, altars, yogis, everyone who was false was an enemy to my Guru Maharaj. He never compromised. Some godbrothers compromised that this preaching was a chopping technique and it would not be successful. But those who criticized him fell down and they are no longer with us. So this is a beautiful life of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. We should remain in debt to him. And on this auspicious day of his appearance, we beg the mercy from his lotus feet that please bestow the mercy so we can also remain strong in our vow. No matter what happens in our life, we should never ever change the path of bhakti to the divine couple Radha and Krishna and never give up chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, no matter what it happened in the world. Anything happen in this world, but we should maintain one thing, constantly chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra and make our life successful while living in this material world even. So with those thoughts, we beg his mercy, and through his mercy we will continue chanting until 8 o'clock, our prescribed time, that we should never miss. So, dear devotees, let's chant for another 35 minutes or so. With the thought in our mind that how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj so steadfast in his practice that he never deviated. Whatever he decided, and we can see from his life, simplicity is the essence of our spiritual life. If we keep on elaborate family life, lot of facilities for us, the real devotion within our heart for the divine couple will never arise in our heart. We need to simplify our life, a very simple life. Then and then we will be able to continue chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Otherwise, so many impediments will come, so many thoughts will come, so many because of our false ego, little bit here and there, and we will lose our taste for chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So we should be extremely careful, very humble, make and give all the respect to others. In that state only we will be able to chant the Hare Krishna. So remember those instructions and let's chant the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.